Okay, hi class, this is Mr. Tan, and today we are doing project operations management, operations project management. And like always, we're focusing on the question. And the question that we're doing here today is P1. And P1 says, conduct a review and a critique of the implementation of operation management principles within an organizational context. So the first thing that we always do is break the question down. So in the question, what do we need to do first?
To break it down into manageable proportion in terms of what the question actually means. Like for instance, it says conduct a review. Review simply means to look at the processes of management operation in a given organizational context.
Yes. And so what's the first thing that we need to find out in the question? The different what?
Review.
We need to find out different types of operational
Principles. Good, excellent. So the first thing that we need to find out in terms of answering this question is, what are the different operational principles? And there are various operational principles. Can anyone give me one operational principle? Taylor's scientific approach. Good. Lean production, good, and continuous improvement. There are loads of other management principles, but we're not going to be doing all of them. We're only going to be doing 2 or 3 that links into this question. Okay? So the first thing we need to do is look at different management operation principles, and those principles then, once we've looked at those principles, we need to relate those principles to what?
To an organization, a given organization.
We need to give an organization. And then we need to relate it with specific examples within a company. So today we're going to be using McDonald's. And then after that, we need to do what? Once we've looked at the principles and we looked at in an organizational context, what do we need to do after that?
Then we need to critically analyze what you're going to
Critique it. Good. Then you need to critique it. So those are the stages and things that we need to do. How many words do you think we're looking for this? Approximately?
800 words.
About 800 words we're looking for this. So for each P, we're looking for about 800 words. Okay, so where are we going to find the lecture slides?
The classroom.
So on the Google Online Classroom, you're going to find the lecture slides. And the first principle that we're looking at is Taylor's scientific approach. And in Taylor's scientific approach, what Taylor is saying is that he's saying, let's take out the human side and let's look at the systematic approach to how processes are actually conducted. And let's remove the waste and let's try and do them in the most efficient and effective way to save the company time and money. And Taylor was saying that there were 4 basic principles in terms of his scientific approach. And the 4 basic principles in terms of his scientific approach was to, firstly, study ways in which jobs were being done and performed. And once we studied jobs in terms of the way they were being done, suggest new ways that they could be done even better. So what we're saying is gather detailed time and motion and information about how processes are actually conducted. And then try out other methods to see if you can improve upon that current method to make it quicker and easier and better. Okay? So that's the first principle, was to identify the method and then to document it, detail it with facts and figures and statistics, and then say, how can we improve this? The next stage was to say, let's codify these methods into rules. So teach all the workers the new method. So in one production process, and we'll come on to the examples later, in one production process we're saying, well, what is step 1? What is step 2? What is step 3? What is step 4? What is step 5? So to code the whole process in stages and steps as regards to what should happen. The third thing Taylor said was, let's select workers who can match with the appropriate skills to achieve that task. Because if you're operating a machine or a task to do a specific operation and you don't have the skills, well then you're going to fail anyway. You're going to fail because that member of staff can't complete that task because he doesn't have the necessary skills or he hasn't been trained in that way. And then finally, number 4, he said, establish fair levels of performance and pay premium for higher workers. So for certain workers, he's saying as a reward for people doing these, let's pay them more. Okay, so the first thing I want you to do is to talk about Taylor and Taylor's scientific approach. Go into the history of Taylor, defined by Frederick Taylor in the late 1800s to replace the informal rule of thumb and knowledge. Taylor sought to reduce the time a worker spent on each task by optimizing the task that was being done. Okay? So the first thing you need to do is to explain Taylor's scientific approach. The next thing we need to do is to apply it. Now we need to say, well, how is this applied in an organizational context? Well, how is this applied? Well, this is applied, we can see, in McDonald's. In McDonald's, we can see when someone is serving someone, they go through a process. So the way it used to happen was that a member of staff would come in to buy some food. And the first thing that the member of staff would do would smile. The second thing that the member of staff would be to take the order. May I take your order, please? The third thing that the member of staff would do was then to key in the order into the till. The next thing that the member of staff would be to suggestively say, would you like something else with that? Would you like a drink with that? The next thing they would need to do is then to repeat the order back to the customer to make sure that the order is correct. The next thing that they would do is then take the money from the customer, payment for the goods. Then, that member of staff would then do what? What would that member of staff do? The old way of doing it.
You pass it to the production.
That's the new way. What would he do now?
Pack and serve.
He would pack and serve. Yes, he would now go and get the hamburger, get the fries, go and get this, and that person at the end of the till would now pack it, put it in a bag. Now would wrap. The next thing is to wrap up the food, and twice or 3 times where the McDonald's on the bag was now shown to the customer. And finally, that member of staff would say, have a good day. Yeah? So you've gone through a whole range of different processes there on different stages. And that member of staff would be trained to carry out all those stages. And that member of staff would get a smiley till badge once they've actually carried out, and they would be tested on that. They would also be tested by a manager to make sure that this was all happening. Okay? Now, how has this changed? Using Taylor's scientific approach, how has this process changed and how has it been improved upon? What happens now in McDonald's, in most stores?
What happens in McDonald's right now? First of all, the person who actually served you, take
Yes.
your order,
Yes.
it's no longer the same person who passed the order for you.
Good.
It's done by somebody differently.
Good.
Technology has been added that when you call it, the order automatically appears on the screen
Yes.
at the back, where the chef can see it.
Yes.
So it doesn't need to be manually passed on.
Yes.
And also, you can order on, you can use the gadgets to order without actually going to.
Good. So this whole process now, using Taylor's scientific approach, they've improved upon this now. So now, the person actually serving you no longer packs your food, as you've said. What he does is he gives you a ticket with a number on. He still greets the customer, smiles at the customer, still asks the customer's order, still does suggestive selling, still puts the order in the till, still repeats the order, still takes the payment either by credit card or by cash, and then he doesn't pack the order, he gives the customer a ticket. And then that customer then goes to the production area and he waits in the queuing line and the number is called out when your food comes. And here, this whole process has been simplified and it's a lot quicker. and it's a lot quicker because they've looked at ways to different methods to do that same process in terms of serving customers. Okay? And this process is quicker. Okay? So can we see, in terms of explaining this, you would explain what they did was the old way, what they did the new way, and how this relates to Taylor. Well, this relates to Taylor because they tried out a new way of doing it, and then they incorporated this. They codified the methods and rules. Stage 1, smile. Stage 2, greet the customer. Stage 3, take the order. Stage 4, suggestive selling. Stage 5, repeat the order. Put the order in. Stage 5, repeat the order. And then give the ticket or pack the order. Do you see how it goes? And then say goodbye to the customer. So here we can see that even what the member of staff does has different stages, and it's been codified. What about selecting the right workers with the right skills? Well, you need people who are going to smile, you need people who are going to be approachable, you need people who are going to be fast on their feet to take the order, who know what the orders are. You need people who have been trained on the till, who know how to use the credit card and the till. So you are going to have the right members of staff who have these attributes to be on till